as entrepreneurs, we talk about in our community shiny object syndrome. We talk about how it's easy to be a squirrel, always looking for the new thing. As entrepreneurs, we're wired to be that way because we tried a bunch of things to get to something, and it's okay. We're starting to have success. The challenge is with the internet. We're all a part of all these email lists, and a brand new course. Oh, that looks cool. This guy made $5,000 on the weekend doing this, and something completely different, and a whole other opportunity. You get another email like, oh, that sounds good. Let's try this. How do you stay focused when you see all that and you see all these other people being successful? And just say, no, I'm going to stay in my lane.
That's a great question because I can 100% relate to that. Yeah. I think a couple of things I would say. First of all is, I am far from perfect at staying perfectly focused. I think, like you said, most entrepreneurs struggle with that. Like, oh, look, there's this new course, there's this new conference I want to go to, or let me try this, or let me try that. So it is a struggle, first of all, I would say. The other two things I would say is, number one, my wife, she helps, definitely helps a lot. She's an entrepreneur as well, actually. So we help each other because we both kind of want to go off the rails sometimes and be like, let me do this. And so we get to coach each other.
Yes.
It's actually kind of hilarious because, Brittany will help me with that and then she'll go do the same thing. And then I'll have to help her with the same thing, but it's hard to see it in yourself. It's easy to see it in someone else. Right.
Absolutely.
And then I think the other answer I would say is that, really tuning in and hearing from and trying to be guided by the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Done. We can just stop the interview right now. I had an interview right before this, a couple hours ago. I had a podcast interview with somebody. We were talking about hearing from God. And he was just saying that's the key for him. Like, I agree. I can't imagine trying to do it any other way. So I'll ask the same question for you. What do you, because there's people that like, gosh, how do I hear God's voice? And I know I guarantee you, neither of us are perfect at it, probably. I know I'm not. How would you explain to somebody who feels like they're struggling in that area? How would you guide somebody into figuring out how to decide if that's God's voice or just, what tips do you have in that area?
That's a really good question. An analogy that I heard probably 5 or 6 years ago that I really like is that it's kind of like, the old televisions where you had to tune them in with the antennas, right? Yep. Like, so you got to tune in to God's voice. And the way that you can do that, there's multiple ways, obviously, but I think one of the biggest ones for me is being in the Word daily and doing it not just from a place of like, okay, I'm going to check the box. Like I read a chapter today or whatever, which I've definitely had times where that's the case, but really being intentional about seeking God and also asking for wisdom and then also asking for the Holy Spirit to speak to you.
Yes.
So I think, there's lots of other ways as well, but those would be the biggest ones I would say for me.
Yeah. Do you and Brittany take time to step away? Like, do you have, time? Because I heard people talk about going on sabbaticals or going on a 3-day weekend to just pray about their business and all that stuff. Do you guys do that type of thing?
Yeah. So we don't necessarily go away for 3 days, just to pray and things like that. Yeah. But we do actually, just a couple of weeks ago, we went away for a 3-day weekend to work on our businesses together and just get away. Yeah. And we just went to a hotel like an hour away. And I mean, pretty much we went there just to be in the hotel and to work on our businesses. And it makes a huge difference. We try to do that quarterly. And then also one time that's maybe a few days longer than that for kind of some planning and stuff. And it's a game changer for sure.
Absolutely.
Because just getting away from the distractions of being at home. Yeah. Brittany and I both have home offices. We work from home and it's really easy because there's a million things like, you got to take the garbage out. You got to, do the dishes and there's this and there's that. And there's, so it really helps a lot. I would highly encourage people to do something like that.
Yeah.